check. All right, you guys, hey, thanks for joining us again, and hope you guys are doing well. We really enjoy you guys checking out our daily videos. We like talking to you guys in the comments, so thanks for hanging out with us. Today is a wacky video. It's a departure. It's something I'm gonna enjoy, and it is for the videographers, cinematographers, and photographers out there in the audience. If you're curious what we shoot with, you guys know I've been doing these daily videos, and we've had to become really organized about our camera gear, keeping everything charged. And as I've gone through it, I've been thinking it would be fun to show you what I actually shoot with. And we do get questions in the comments. Hey, what are you using to shoot? So I figured I'd cover it. Let's cover this topic, and we can always refer to it. Of course, camera gear and audio gear changes all the time. And certainly the things you're going to see today, I've accumulated this stuff over years. There's a couple of decades of gear here. So one of the things we say about overlanding and about getting out there off the grid is run what you brung. And it's the same way with camera gear. You don't need fancy gear to shoot a video. You don't need to go out there and spend a bunch of money to shoot a video. Some of this gear is quite expensive, at least for me. But again, it's something I've accumulated over the course of a couple of decades. I didn't go out there and buy it all at once. But if you're curious, hey, how do we make these videos and what equipment do we use? That's what we're going to cover today. And so all you guys out there that have asked me, this is for you, okay? So a little bit off topic. So I hope you guys are down with it, all right? So let's jump right in. The eagle-eyed out there might notice that this video has a little bit of a different quality during this verbose introduction. And that is because I'm shooting with a camera I never shoot with. I'm shooting with a Panasonic, and then I've got an iPhone to look down here because I can't be shooting with the gear I'm going to show you clearly. What I'll do through this video is I'll switch everything around. I'll go back to my normal gear, and you guys can take a look at the different image quality. Before we step through this, let me tell you how we're going to do it. We're going to go through the cameras, the lenses, the audio gear. That's what we're going to do. A note on audio. You guys will forgive a lot when it comes to visual mess ups. If I drop the camera, if I'm out of focus, if it's overexposed, if it's this, it's that. Yeah, whatever. You guys roll with it. You're here for the information. As long as you can get the information, you're cool. However, if I mess up on audio, you guys let me know right now. And that's true for all videos. If you mess up on your audio, people aren't going to watch it. You have to get your audio down, and audio is hard. The other day we did a video with Corey, and her mic got unplugged. She was wearing a mic, if you go back and look at the video, but it wasn't plugged in, so her audio was terrible, and everybody let me know about it. If you're curious what that video sounded like, go back. It is the 3 product video that we did a few days ago, and everybody let us know. Your mic, your mic, your mic. So get your audio right. We'll cover that as well. All right, guys, let's jump right in. We're going to do cameras. We're going to do lenses. Then I'm going to switch all the camera gear around to my normal kit, which will make me very much more comfortable. And then we'll talk about the audio gear. All right? Okay. So workhorse camera. This is what I use 90% of the time. What I shoot with 90% of the time is the Canon 5D Mark IV. This is a workhorse camera. A couple of notes about it. It's got a titanium frame. It is very tough. It is weather resistant right from the factory. I've shot with this in the rain. You guys will see this camera is worn. The surface is worn off of it. It is a workhorse that is used. It's been with me to Alabama Hills. It's been with me on all my trips down to Baja. You guys have seen the images shot by this camera. This thing is my go-to. So that's what I use. It's Canon 5D Mark IV. And it is just a great solid piece of kit. I grew up with Canon. I know there's Nikon out there, but I'm just comfortable with Canon. I've shot it all my life. So that is what we use for 90% of the stuff. This is a full frame camera. It is not a crop sensor camera, and it's sort of the entry level full frame camera. I'm going to throw out some terminology, and also I don't know all the right terminology. Sometimes I've been shooting with this gear, I'm comfortable with it, but you know, I'm going to be talking about f-stop and aspect ratio and crop sensor and all that kind of stuff. If you have questions, just in the comments. I'm going to go through this pretty quickly. Otherwise, we'll be on this dang video for 45 minutes. And I got to edit it and still kick it out. And right now it's about 5:15 here on the West Coast. All right, that's Canon 5D Mark IV. Boom. Now, what? You got two cameras? Yep. Boom. Second one I shoot with is the Canon 7D. Now, why do I have two cameras? Because I got A-roll and B-roll. I got camera 1 and camera 2. The A-roll camera is interview, your subject matter, and the B-roll camera, like when you guys see those videos where it's Corey and I up here talking and then we've got a different angle to show what we're looking at, that's the B-roll camera. This is a great camera too. The lenses are interchangeable with the 5D, and this happens to be a crop sensor camera, and the capabilities and performance is not as good as the 5D Mark IV, but it's a fantastic little camera, does a really good job, gets the shot, has a flip out screen, so it's a good vlogging camera, so you can see yourself and compose the shot. The 5D does not. So that is my secondary camera if we need a different angle. I use that quite a bit. The capabilities are not as good as the 5D Mark IV. Okay, let's go through lenses, and then we're going to do a video setup swap, and we'll talk about audio and some other fun stuff. Okay, the lens that I use 80% of the time is this guy right here. This is the 24-105 zoom Canon lens, and it'll get the shot. It's a zoom lens. It's very versatile, fairly close up, far away, nice field of view. If I see something off there on the horizon, I see some action, I know I need to get the shot, that's the lens I grab. I know I'm going to get the shot. Image stabilization and autofocus. It's a fantastic lens. F-stop 4.0, which means that from a depth of field standpoint, if you want your subject in focus and the background blurry, which is cinematic, then you got to be fairly close to the subject to get that difference in terms of field of view. Great. This is the lens I shoot with. This is what you're looking at me through all the time. Okay. So if that's my 80% lens, what's my 15% lens? This is my 15% lens. It is a 100mm macro lens. This is great for shooting close-ups. If I need to show the dial on my front and rear lockers, e-lockers on my dashboard, I'll shoot it with 100mm. And the image quality coming out of this one is freaking fantastic. I mean, you Steven Spielberg up in here. It just looks great. It does have image stabilization, but it's a prime lens. It is not a zoom lens. Another use case, in addition to super close-up, it is a fantastic portrait lens. This f-stop goes down to 1.28, 1.28, and my Panasonic is beeping at me, so I have to stop. Check. Okay. All right. Once you know your gear, you shoot with your gear because it's predictable. So my battery ran out on the Panasonic. It happens on the Canon too, but I know the whole process. So anyway. Once you're familiar with your camera gear, it's very hard to go to anything else. So I think we were talking about that 100mm macro. It's also very good for portraits as well as close-ups. Okay, so that was my 80% lens. This is my 20% lens. It covers all of my needs. This is my 15% lens. They cover all of my needs. However, I have a couple of surprises as well. Again, you guys look at the costs of these lenses, you're gonna be like, at least I was, you know. The glass is expensive. Glass is a photography term for lens. I learned that. Okay, couple other lenses. Then we're gonna switch our gear, thank goodness. back to Canon, you guys will see the image difference. I'm not saying it's good, bad, or otherwise. I'm just saying you're going to notice a difference. But first, I want to talk about a couple of lenses. One, boom. That there lens, boom. That there lens is called a Nifty 50. It's about $119, and it is a fantastic lens. F 1.8, it's 50 millimeter. This is very close to what the human eye sees, and you can get nice depth of field. That means, you know, again, that is your subject in the foreground is perfectly in focus. Things in the background are out of focus, nice and cinematic look. That is an inexpensive lens that does a good job. It has autofocus, but it does not have image stabilization. There's a trade-off there. All of the lenses that you have seen, all of the lenses that I've shown you, which have been 3, are clinically clean. They perform very well. However, every once in a while, I go for my Indiana Jones lens. Boom. That's that bad boy. The reason I call it the Indiana Jones lens is because it was manufactured about the time that that movie was made, and the glass quality and build quality is very good. It ends up giving you a slightly nostalgic, warm, glowy feel. And I reach for this lens from time to time when I want that cinematic feel to it. There's no better way to describe it other than the look of the final image has just a different feel to it. This is all manual, so it's not the thing you grab if you got to get the shot. Go with the other lenses if you got to get the shot because they have autofocus and image stabilization. This you have to set up. You set your f-stop right on the lens. The focus is extremely smooth and fluid, so that is fantastic, but it's all extremely manual, so you got to set up your shot before using this lens. But I do pull that lens out from time to time, and you guys might see it in some of my videos. I really do like that lens. But again, I reach for something else if I know I got to get the shot. Okay, that's it. That is lenses, that is cameras. Those 4 lenses are what I use primarily. There's one other lens, if you can guess what that is, that I'll talk about in a little while. But that's it for camera and lens. I'm going to strike this gear. I'm going to get back to my Canon gear. That's going to make me very happy. And then we will talk about audio and that one other lens I was talking about. Okay, now next we're going to talk about audio. I've switched over to the Canon gear. I'm shooting through the Canon 5D Mark IV and the 24-105 zoom lens that I showed you guys. Again, f-stop 4.0. You guys probably see me in focus. The background slightly out of focus. It's a good catch-all lens. And on the B camera, just for fun, I put that vintage lens on it so you guys can see the image quality. Now, there's only very little of the shot that is actually in focus because of the narrow depth of field. And again, there's no autofocus, so if it goes out of the frame or if it goes out of the focus plane, it's going to be out of focus. So these actually help me to know where I'm going to be in focus because again, very manual lens, but you guys will be able to see the image quality. Okay, so what am I going to talk about next? Audio. Some things about audio before I show you the specific gear that I have. Get a lapel mic. You see this thing. Again, I showed you the sound quality difference before with and without a lapel mic. If you're in an open room or even you're outside or there's wind, a lapel mic is very localized. It just gets the voice and it makes the difference between not so good sound and good sound. I'm actually in a pretty open, echoey room right now, but the lapel mic is keeping that under control, so you guys hear pretty good audio. So get a lapel mic however you do it. Okay, now some of the gear depends on the kind of videos you'll be making. So let's go through that. First, I'm going to pull out this thing and tell you what's going on right now. This is a Tascam DR600 Mark II. It's a fancy audio recorder. You put a memory stick in it, you say record, and it captures your audio. Now to get audio in, I have a Comica WM300. That's what this is here. Now, you guys can go and do a ton of research on wireless mic setups, but let me save you a little bit of time. This Comica is mid-range. It has a nice metal construction, and it allows you to do something that is a requirement for me, and that is you can have two remote mics. This is one I'm using right now. I can give a guest this one. You can have two remote mics, and the audio is recorded on two different channels. It records one voice track on the right channel, one voice track on the left channel, configurable, so that I can record voice separately. So for those rig walkarounds that I do, I'm getting guest audio and my audio on a separate audio track so that I can adjust the levels independently. If I have a coughing fit, I can pull my levels right down and I can still hear my guest, and that's a requirement. This Comica is the mid-range that allows you to do that, still with good construction quality. This is in the $400 range. Again, not inexpensive, but I decided to go with this, and there's a few more reasons. The Pro gear is $700 and up. So if you have that kind of budget, go for it. This was good for me. It's done a fantastic job, changed my life. And you don't need to go into this Tascam. I'm going into it today so that I can show you guys all the gear, but this plugs right into your camera. If your camera has a mic jack, it plugs right into your camera, and it will save you so much time just recording your audio right on the same video, right on the same card that your video is recorded on. Then you're not messing around with different memory sticks and having to sound sync in your editing package. It just goes right into your camera. So that's what that does, goes right into your camera. And the sound quality is good. What was the other reason for this setup? I think I'm going to move on. I'm just going to move on. If I think about it, I'll let you know. Now, this audio recorder that's separate, this allows you to just, you can stick this anywhere. You can stick it 50 feet away. Oh, that's another thing about, that was the other thing I remembered. These wireless mics have a huge range, like 100 meters or something like that. You're going to see Rode has these cube mics, and there are a couple of other options out there. Don't like them. They're big, they're ugly. Some of them don't have a lapel mic option. You just have to clip it up here, and it's big and it's ugly. It doesn't have all of the option. Again, I needed the audio recorded on separate tracks, so I just went with this, and I've been very happy with it. Audio recorder, you don't need it if you're recording into your camera. If you're not recording into your camera, then you need something to record with. Tascam, it's a great workhorse audio recorder. Okay, I'm going to show you something else about a couple of other options with audio. You can do something like that. Those are the Zoom H1 mics. You can plug a lapel mic into the Zoom H1, and you can, instead of having a wireless setup with all this stuff, you can just plug your lapel mic into that. I use this frequently. It's very easy to use. You just give your guest a recorder and a lapel mic, clip the mic on, have them stick that in your pocket and record audio. You'll have really good quality audio. However, then you have to sync your sound later. That's why you see this. When people do that, it's so they see spikes in their editing package, and then you can sync it up with your camera video later. Your camera video is going to have the camera audio, and it's enough for you to sync your good audio with it. So if you have a separate recorder, anytime you have a separate recorder, you got to be able to sync up your sound. That's what those clappers are for, and there's a process for doing that. That's how you get good audio. Okay. easier to just have your camera recording the audio. So you can go with that kind of option. Now, everything I've been talking about is for localized vocal recording. What happens if you need to get a room or you need to get an outside area? That is when you go with the Rode. I'll put the actual model in the description. You get the Rode mic. That'll pick up, it is directional. It picks up where your camera is pointed, but it picks up everything. It is not nearly as local as this. This is great if I've got noise over there. It'll just isolate my voice. This will pick up that noise if my camera is pointed in that direction. It is quite directional, so if you do this, it doesn't pick up the sound, so it's good at doing that. The thing that I have on the mic is called a dead cat, and it is for wind. Okay, so that's the Rode. The reason that this Rode is not inexpensive, again, it might be in the $300 to $400 range, but it's a good microphone, good quality audio, and through the cable that goes in the back that attaches into your camera, it will turn itself on and off when the camera is on and off. Otherwise, you'll be going through batteries because you forget to turn off your microphone. So that alone is worth the higher price to me. So we've talked about 3 different ways to record audio. Your camera stock mic, that's never going to be good. This for capturing an environment. Lapel mic for capturing voice. We've got the wireless setup, and we have those 2 Zoom H1s. Those all go in my camera kit, and I take it with me because I may need it for one thing or another. It's a variety of different things. Okay, now in addition to the audio gear and the camera gear, I of course have my memory cards, a variety of memory cards, and a plethora of spare batteries for various things. That goes in the camera kit as well. Okay, now what was the other lens that I was talking about? Can you guess? It is the DJI Mavic Pro. If you're considering a drone, get a DJI. Nothing else. Nothing else matters. Just get that, and you'll be set. That's it. It is a great prosumer drone that shoots incredible video. Everything else, they're playing catch up to DJI. They're really the industry leader. Just get that. Don't get anything smaller. Don't get the Macro or the Fiji or the Fifi or whatever they want, cute name they want to call it. Those things bounce around in the wind. They're not as good. Get the Mavic Pro. Great. It has the Hasselblad lens. The Mavic Pro comes in 2 variations. One is the zoom, and then I forget what this is called. The reason I got this one is because I wanted to get the absolute best image quality, and the lens here is better than the zoom lens. But if you want versatility, you want to be able to zoom in and out optically, the Mavic Pro zoom would be the way to go. So if you want to have your drone way far away so that you don't hear it, and then you want to zoom in to a shot, that would be the Mavic Pro Zoom. This one has a better lens, more stops of dynamic range, and better image quality. All right, so I'm not getting into technique today. I'm not getting into editing. I'm not getting into all those things. Geez, we'd be talking for hours and hours. There's a lot that goes with this. Like for example, you want to shoot in log and then color grade later if you want absolute flexibility in the final look of your videos. But you don't need all that. You don't need to spend all that time. A lot of folks, I've seen comments out there that says, people say, why do all those YouTubers think they need dramatic music and cinematic B-roll and aerial photography? Because we like it. We like doing it. It's a craft and it's an art, and we enjoy our gear and we enjoy the craft of making these videos. It brings us a lot of joy, and that's why we like doing it. And that's why you get the cinematic and the B-roll and all this stuff. Even though you don't need, dude, you're talking about a bowl of Fruit Loops. Do you really have to fly in from Kansas and zoom into the bowl of Fruit Loops? I mean, come on, I just want to see the Fruit Loops. It's true. Right? You don't need all that. But it's a craft, and it's creative, and we like doing it, and I like doing it, and it combines my passion with overlanding and the creation of video and content. So that's why you see the gear and people spend a lot of time making the videos. But don't let it be a barrier. You don't have to. You can enter into it slowly. You can build up your kit over time. The final note I'm going to say is, how do I put all this stuff together? I was an Adobe Premiere user for over 20 years, and I finally got so fed up with it that I switched to DaVinci Resolve. And if you're just getting started, I would suggest that you check out DaVinci Resolve. It is free. You can use it right now, and it is better and it is faster than Adobe Premiere on its best day. I feel that strongly about it. Also, it's a professional tool. Professional cinematographers use it for color grading. I don't know any professional cinematographers that use Adobe Premiere. And quite honestly, DaVinci Resolve is easier to use. And here's another thing. If you do decide to get the full package of DaVinci Resolve, which has very advanced tools, then you pay for it one time. It's $300 or $400, I forget what it is right now, but you pay for it one time and then you own it. Adobe Premiere, it's a monthly subscription. You're paying every single month. And another thing about Adobe Premiere, you have to be online. What good does that do me when I am off the grid? It doesn't, but if I'm off the grid, I cannot use Adobe Premiere unless I cheat or hack or do something like that. And I don't even want to have to deal with it. So do yourself a favor, go with DaVinci Resolve. That's all I'll say about that. All right, you guys, hey, I know this was a bit off topic. I really hope you enjoyed the content. If you guys have any questions, please, in the comments. I'm glad to dive into a little bit more detail. And tomorrow we'll get back into overlanding. We have some awesome topics. You guys, hey, if you like this content, if you like any of our videos, of course, we love your subscribes. But really, we want you to be a part of the Overland Bound family, our community. 25,000 members worldwide. We just released the best overlanding app on the planet. Links are in the description. It is free, and we're going to continue to expand that software. It is called Overland Bound One. It will be in stores, in the App Store and Google Play Store later this week. But if you want it now, you can download the beta version. Links in the description. You guys, thank you for hanging out. Cheers. See you tomorrow.